start to think, my veins start to purify, my body feels it, petrified. Oh, the chaos has its place, the spinning takes its place, my mind begins to race, recognize my face, talking by myself, I don't need no help, the chaos takes its place, recognize my face.
Hello, everybody. This is a very special edition of Targeted. I'm Kristen Manners, and I'm joined today by my co-host V. And there's an issue that needs to get addressed, and it is something that has been building for quite a long time. Robert Stanson did an interview with Targeted some time ago, and we were more than willing to air that episode. However, over the course of the last several months, something has happened with Robert that we're not completely sure exactly what has happened, but he's not quite himself. And what has ended up happening is he has gone on a campaign to badmouth myself, Anthony Thomas, our show, etc., etc. And he has basically called me a perp. And I am no more a perp than the man in the moon, and I do not appreciate the attacks. We have suffered enough with the attacks from Xavier Madera and multiple other individuals in the targeted community, and that is not what this is all about. This is not what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to accomplish having targeted individuals tell their story, and we're trying to combat what is happening in the targeted community, not going against one another and calling each other perpetrators, etc. I have really no idea exactly what has happened to Robert, and I am extremely sorry, more than anybody could ever know, that this has happened to him. But he does not need to be going on attack against me or anybody else for that matter. I'm not a perpetrator. I'm doing my best to provide resources for targeted individuals as well as our network. And if you do hear something, the best thing always to do is to come directly to me or somebody within our network and ask questions versus listening to rubbish. That's how horrible things get spread, and it's not necessary. It's really not. You can always message me in my messenger box and ask me any questions you want. I've always made myself completely available. So I want to squash any of the rumors that are out there concerning this issue. And as far as I'm concerned, it's over with as far as I'm concerned. He can get his act together at any time he wants to, but it's a done deal as far as I'm concerned and as far as our network is concerned.
Yeah, so Kristen, you were actually, it's a shame that he attacked you so horribly.
Yeah.
Attacked everybody concerning our media. And it's very cowardly, I think. And yeah, I mean, we're holding back his episode. His episode was being held back because his helmet thing, his magnetic helmet, doesn't work. It's fraudulent.
No.
We've created said helmets 5-6 years ago, and I can tell you a much better design. Our knowledge, even then, just learning of how the stuff works. I know that we were told by him personally that as the science was being explained to him as to why it doesn't work in his group, shielding and questions, his chat group, we were telling him how his helmet doesn't work. You've got magnets, you've got polarities, you have dipoles. He didn't understand the concept of dipoles and how you can change the traffic of information or energy from one direction to the other. Using magnets, it's not very hard to reverse a polarity in a signal, and a person can actually get V2K or synthetic telepathy. Even worse. Anybody can look at the basics of physics of this, okay? Anybody can go and, okay, for example, Dr. Robert Duncan's book, he explains some light shielding techniques, and it is actually explained that you don't want to cover the head in such a fashion because whatever signal comes down, but that's fine, but there's also, you're in a sea of signals, so if it goes up, and it goes up in the helmet area, if this were to block it, it doesn't, but if it were to block it, if it were to go upwards, that's what it's got to come back down to. You get double the exposure on top of magnetic exposure in your head, okay? You have something called magnetites. People look this up. Magnetites. You don't know what you're doing with strong magnets near your head. You can cause mental instability. This guy's helmet is literally, in a sense, a retard helmet. It's going to make you look retarded. It's not going to do anything for you. And it can destroy mood, abilities, and thought. Can affect thought. Just like when you put a strong magnet near a computer, it scrambles it. Well, the same effect can happen in a person's mind, the thought process. Adding a mental deficiency or a learning disability effect. Okay, you have something called magnetites. People look this up. Robert Stanton doesn't understand any of this, or if he does, it doesn't matter. He's trying to make money off this helmet, which is completely fraudulent. He was charging target individuals $550 for these helmets. Now he's charging people. Now he's charging people $900. He's doing a fundraiser for any cast bar who does not get V2K to get one of these helmets. He's gotten like $300 so far. Okay, now again, we've built said devices, and $100. $100, the parts is all it costs. So you got a $500, or sorry, five times markup. Okay, now he's charging people $900 for something that costs $100. Cost of labor for something that doesn't work. He's gouging and scamming the community. Yes, Robert Stanton, we're a con artist, a scam artist, which is why he's exploded all over online, trying to say that you, me, anybody, you know, from what I read, he's saying that we're child molesters, drug dealers, any crime you can think of. He went straight from name calling to slander. He went directly to libel.
I want to be perfectly clear in saying that prior to all of this, prior to this laser app campaign that he went on, we were very, very supportive of Robert, trying to help him. I never said an ill word to Robert. As a matter of fact, I thought he was a fine man, and we were trying to do everything we could to support him because he was a targeted individual. And I thought very highly of Robert because the one attribute that he had was that he made people feel good with his sense of humor. He kept the spirits of targeted individuals up with his sense of humor, and it really helped people out. I do not know what happened to that, and it does make me incredibly sad that this happened because it was one thing that kept targeted individuals going. the attitude that he had. And then all of a sudden, this laser app campaign came along, and he is being perped. That is the bottom line. He is under some sort of mind control, and it has affected his personality to the utmost degree. I tried to address this with him very, very professionally and very nicely, and it only made him even more agitated, which also tells me that he is being perped. Every single behavioral pattern that he has right now is indicative of him being perped. So that makes me incredibly sad. And you do not go around to the targeted individual community and charge them $950 for a product with a struggling financial community already. We don't have the money to pay that much for a product. We just don't have it. He should have known that from Jump Street.
Well, that's the thing, and I've addressed this on the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. There are people like Magnus Olson and his partner, whatever, with these pendants and things like that, they're selling to the TI community, and I call them TI pitfalls. What happens in these TI pitfalls? Well, you have people who have an issue. They're sold snake oil. The perps get rich off the snake oil. And I'm not just talking about Robert Stanton being a con artist. There's the big companies like Q-Wave or Q Defender, Q-Wave Defender, something like that, selling tables that throw off frequencies to stop mind control. And these companies are in fact owned by the perps and gouging the community. Again, I've actually contacted Q-Wave Defender and told them how their product was wrong and how I can improve their product to make it actually work. I talked to low-level associate to the manager. The manager kept trying to get me a hold of the owner of the companies. The owner of the companies just got the manager to tell me he's not interested in improving his product.
A word to the wise to targeted individuals. Listen very carefully. Anytime you receive a message, whether it be in a chat group or whether it be online, that says, here is your ticket to freedom as a targeted individual, and then they send you an email and it says, hey, $500-600 and you will be free. Go to this, go to that. 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, that is a perpetrator scheme to get you to pay money to try to make you believe that you can buy your freedom out of this program. Let me tell you something. Freedom from this program comes from within. Freedom from this program comes from hard work and diligence. It comes from mental strength. It comes from diligence. It comes from just flat knowing what and who your enemy is, and being mentally strong and capable and self-assured and confident. That's what it comes from. It doesn't come from going to programs and paying $500 to $1,000. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it does not. Be smart. It comes from being self-assured, self-confident, and having love for yourself. That's where it comes from. I can honestly sit here and tell you that I am a free, targeted individual in every sense of the word. Why? Because I'm confident within myself. I am an assured, targeted individual that has self-love for myself. I don't allow these individuals to control me, not mind control me, not control the things that happen in my life. That is where freedom comes as far as being a targeted individual. So don't buy into all that garbage. Don't buy into all that stuff that says pay $500,000 to be free. Freedom comes from within here, and it comes from up here.
Well, that and doing your research, becoming knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
Not falling for the perps mind games. And
Absolutely.
a lot of times it's not even the issue of perps, because there are a lot more confused target individuals and manipulated target individuals than there are perps. And they all do the same thing.
Yes.
And that's the point of this special, is to expose those who are used because they have big egos, or their money got dipped into because they're scamming people.
Yes.
Or they're just craze obsessed psychopathic stalkers.
Yes.
So and so I was going to say, don't buy into things without researching, just like you don't need to buy a $9 app, which is the new scam here for Stanton's, and have something downloaded to your phone that is designed to stalk you and see if you're
exactly
whatever. I mean, you don't have to. I don't quite understand what this Lasers the Stars thing is, but I will give some credibility if it's along the lines of blinding drones. Maybe that could be the issue, but you would need to be able to overload the sensors of the drones, and you're just not going to do that with a pocket laser.
Well, I have a favorite saying. I saw this in a saying in a quote, and it's common sense is not a flower that grows in everybody's garden. And you know, a lot of things are just flat common sense. They just really are. But like you said, this program has a way of getting to people to where things that used to be common sense start to not become common sense to individuals that are being perped, or that they pushed over the edge. You can always tell who's been pushed over the edge, who no longer has the capability of having common sense. These kinds of things are just common sense. And we can always tell who, especially doing this show, after doing countless numbers of interviews, you can see who has been pushed too far. So let me assure you, I am with all my faculties and then some. And it is unfortunate that this program does have the ability to do this to some individuals, but it most certainly has not done it to me. And I am very much intact and then some. And we are going to continue to keep on pushing and doing what's necessary to continue to stop this problem. But once again, come to us personally, let us do what we're supposed to be doing, and let's just get rid of these kinds of individuals in this community, because they do nothing but slow us down in what we're trying to accomplish. And once again, we are here to talk about the ongoing issue with Xavier Madera, and the reason being is because there have been some extremely horrible things that have happened since the last time we did an update. And these problems have escalated into a very serious nature. And the other day we had actually conducted a conference call. We had called the city in which Xavier resides in order to ask the police department what we needed to do in order to file individual reports against this man because of the nature of the threats that have been, the threats that Xavier has made on targeted individuals.
And I'm not down for it. Like Anthony Thomas, if he ever gets in my face, he'll get stabbed. Self-defense.
I like that attitude.
Self-defense. And Kristen Manners, she gets in my face, whatever, she'll get slapped. Anthony Thomas, if he ever gets in my face, he'll get stabbed. And Kristen Manners, she gets in my face, whatever, she'll get slapped.
And they have given us instructions as to what we needed to do. And so I have given those instructions to a number of targeted individuals. But today we have a number of other targeted individuals that have had experiences with Xavier Madera, and we have them here today to tell of those experiences because at the end of the day, we cannot have an individual like Xavier Madera coming into this community and threatening targeted individuals and getting away with it.
And I would like to hear Kristen, because she was there was some issues with other persons that are involved, and maybe we should delve into a more pertinent territory.
Well, on that note, the whole reason why I was even brought to Patrick was because of all of our good friend Xavier Madera, and you had the opportunity to interview Xavier Madera, and when I was first brought to you, you had actually been brought into a conversation with Xavier after he had once again not only bashed myself, and just a little bit of background, the whole thing had started not with me, but with Xavier, his personal vendetta against Anthony Thomas. And he had time and time again assaulted character along with his little friend Amy Raybon, and whom, by the way, I wanna note that I do not know Amy Raybon. I've never spoken to Amy Raybon. I've never friended Amy Raybon. Her and I have never had a conversation, so I do not know this individual. But after multiple assaults,
let me interject here. Please, just, I know she has, well, okay, first let me clarify. It started with everyone in the TI community saying, hey, Anthony, come get this a-hole.
okay,
30,
I'll tell you how much I know about this individual.
20, 30 people like, come get this a-hole. What is he doing in this group? He doesn't belong here.
That'll tell you how much I even knew about it to begin with.
And Amy Raybon and Stalker, obsession. Stalker. She's already blocked from our YouTube account. She has decided to comment on everything, and it's just blocked. She got blocked from our YouTube account. I blocked her personally from every channel that we have, as she subscribed to every channel. Wanting to say something, we've had to block her. We don't have time for psychos.
No. So, you know, on that note, that will just tell you, Patrick, exactly how much I even knew about this person to begin with. So after that, I saw Xavier one day in a chat group, and I personally went to his box and tried to reason with him because he was being so belligerent. I was nice to him, kind to him, that didn't work. And so Patrick had made a comment in a chat group about this individual, and then subsequently, to make a long story short, he asked me for an interview. But then somebody told me that Patrick was actually interviewing Xavier, and I did. Patrick's sitting right here. He will vouch for this. I went back into the messenger box and I said, look, if you're going to be interviewing Xavier, then I would have appreciated a heads up on that, because, you know, I don't want two people playing both sides here. We don't need that. Patrick came back to me and said, look, that was kind of in the middle of everything before I knew what was happening. And I did give Xavier the opportunity to speak his piece, but I didn't really understand what was happening at the time. And then when I did interview him, he basically went off on me, showed his true colors. I realized what kind of individual I was dealing with, and basically told him where to go and how to get there after understanding and comprehending who this individual was. That's how I basically got hooked up with Patrick. And then I called Patrick back and said, okay, let's schedule the interview, because he's had an opportunity himself to actually interview Xavier and see exactly what kind of individual he really, really, truly is. And I have had multiple chats with him, and yes, I've had a phone conversation with Xavier and got to see his true colors for sure. And boy, as Patrick can vouch for, and multiple other, Rose Kelly said in a chat group yesterday, she said, man, you have, as well as Mike Conan did, you have really taken a pounding from this person. You have really been bad. I have. Patrick has now made Xavier's perp list, as well as I have. I'm in the top 5. So this guy has really gone to town on me. But Patrick has had a firsthand knowledge as far as an interview situation goes. So after our phone conversation, I said, yes, Patrick, go ahead, let's get this interview done, because I think it's important for somebody who has done a one-on-one interview with him to be able to give a firsthand account of exactly how egotistical and how much of a man this guy really is. And I want to make a note that Patrick and I did, and he can vouch for this. We also talked about a thing that's been traveling around the TI community, which I think is highly important. The bashing now that I am also taking from other TIs who are saying that I'm having a bash fest on a TI, which is not correct or not right. Well, let me tell you something. If we do not remove individuals like this from the TI community, well, what do you want? Do you want people like this in the TI community that can go around and assault you, your character, call you a child molester, threaten your children? Do you want people running around in the TI community that think that they can come in and infiltrate this community and take over everything and do what he has done? No. Do we not get enough of this from perps, let alone a supposed TI? Come on now. Don't
don't attack the messenger here that's trying to do something about this. I'm here every day taking this, let alone taking it from TIs too. Come on. So Patrick, go ahead.
Well, actually, let me check what it does. I want to qualify what you said. You know, if we have individuals like this in the TI community, these perps are placed there to foster TI community so that we can have unity. And so, because there are going to be people that are like, you know, kumbaya, my lord, everybody together now, and they'll desperately grab onto everyone and then defend perps who are blatant perps, and then not want to. And if you want to incorporate rot, what does rot do? It rots what it touches. Rot begets rot. And so, you know, if you have a cancer, you've got to cut that cancer out for the rest of the body to live. And Xavier is just that, a cancer. You know, attacking people who are doing something. If anyone can tell me one thing that Javier has done to the TI community, I'd leave him alone.
Thank
one
you.
Thing, positive. One thing. Just one. Just one thing.
All right.
But
Well,
let
let me get started on Xavier. Okay. So he was one of the very first interviewees that I had, and I don't know why. It's just that he was one of the first people that answered the phone. All right. And so I talked to this. So as I'm talking to him, I find myself becoming enraged, you know, and it was because I felt like he was actually fucking with. I'm sorry. He was being disingenuous, you know. I thought, and it wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. It just wasn't. Something wasn't lining up, you know. He just didn't seem to be right. And then I thought, you know, he's messing with me. And then he would go and he would kind of change, and it would flip back and forth to where I go, okay, well maybe, you know, now he sounds legitimate now, but then and then another minute later, then he wouldn't sound legitimate again. It was just flipping back and forth. And so I thought, you know, I think what I'm dealing with is just an individual that actually just lacks communication skills. You know, he's just not very smart, or something of that nature. I think that maybe he's just not very bright and just can't express himself well. and so I just left it at that, you know. And then so, you know, I intended to make a video. I wanted to make a video out of our conversation, but then afterwards I thought, no, it was just lackluster. You know, there was nothing special there. It wasn't good enough to make the cut, you know, for what I wanted to post. And so I put it, I lost it. It's stashed away somewhere. I still have the interview somewhere in my archives, and I'm not going to go through the trouble of trying to dig it up, but it's there somewhere. And so so now let's fast forward, you know, a few months into the future, which is just a few days ago, where all of a sudden, you know, I come home after work and I see what looks to me like a lynch mob, you know, of these people that are out to get Xavier, you know. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, you know, I think I remember this guy, you know. I don't, you know, it's not a good memory, but still, you know, if he's a targeted individual, and I don't like when all of a sudden I see a flash mob of people that are getting ready to string the guy up from the tree. And so I'm just like, shoot, I reach out to the guy. I'm like, hey man, you need to get your fat ass, you know, and you need to contact me right now. The best thing that you can do would be to contact me right now so that you can tell me your story, you know. And then I look into it further. I kind of backlog, you know, and I'm looking at his most previous post, and I see that even after being accused of this bull, his response is just to prance around on on Facebook and to post videos of himself just walking around like Right Said Fred, you know. And I love Right Said Fred. I love I'm Too Sexy for My Cat. I love, you know, I'm Too Sexy for My Car and all that stuff. I mean, I love it, man. I love the dude. But, you know, it reminded me of him. And my point is that so I went ahead and I kind of made fun of him. All right, so it's like I'm like hacking on him. It was like a little roasting going on, and I'm like, okay, dude, you need to actually put on the big boy pants, okay? Put on the big boy fucking pants, you know, because they're getting ready to hang you from the tree, right? And so you need to use your big boy words, you know, and not just posing, you know, like you're something special. I mean, because you might be special, but nobody's going to care. I mean, when it comes to plead for your life, you know, are you going to stand there like some Kansas City freaking homo, you know, or are you going to actually say something to defend yourself? And his answer to me is, fuck you, everybody. He called me back because I left my phone number, and he's like, you, who the f are you, you mother. Again, I'm sorry, my words.
We'll allow it for
no. No, Patrick, you just keep going. Come on.
So I mean, so then he lashes out at me. He was very, very angry at me, and I can understand that. And so when he lashed out at me,
Yeah.
and so I'm just like, oh, all right, dude, I'll go ahead and I'll pull the video. I'm not going to talk to you anymore, whatever, blah, 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 because he was screaming at me because I left him my phone number, and he had the balls to call me. But then again, his vocabulary was very limited. You know, it wasn't like a regular communication like we're having now. It was like a third grader, you know, yelling at his dog. You know, it was not valid. So, but what I still would like to do is, you know, I don't want to leave this man out there to think that everybody is against him. I still he still has my number. He can still call me. He can connect to me still on Facebook because he's still on my friends list. I have not defriended him, and he can decide whether or not that he wants to defend himself of these accusations, which I would, you know, I wouldn't, you know, but if he doesn't feel that he owes anybody an explanation of anything, you know, then that's the way that he feels, then fine, then let us make our own assumptions. You know, how about that? You know, how about if just everybody made their own assumptions, and instead of defending yourself and to have something to say, that you cower, you go running off, and you go into your poser mode where you run around and you get into your convertible car and you take your shirt off and you drive around without your shirt. You know, that's really the best course of action. You know, to in this situation. I don't think so. But then again, I think that there's very little concern that Xavier is going to try to defend himself. And this is the other interesting thing that I was totally unaware of, because I always thought that he looked cool on the red carpet, you know, and he's with all these high profile people. But then come to find out that there's accusations that he's actually photoshopping himself onto the red carpet, you know, to make himself look important, which I find kind of bizarre. I mean, sure, I mean, I can understand that. I'm not going to bag on him just for wanting himself to look bigger than he is, because I do the same thing. It's just that I'm a little bit more skillful in the way that, you know, I present my videos and stuff like that, and you know, but you can see this my house behind me. It's not like I'm living in a freaking palace, you know. I've got birds and feathers and all. I mean, it all happens right here. Okay, this is
well. The thing is, though, I want to interject here.
Yes, please.
You know, when he goes to these red carpet events, there's no one ever around. It's just him, and I guess whatever friend or whoever he has with him takes a picture of him by himself. You know, I know he's stalking these people. I mean, he says no celebrities. I know celebrities. I know celebrities. I know. I've talked to Corey Feldman. I know a few other people. I know some people. And
let's talk about Corey.
The thing is that I really get creeped out when I think about him following behind these people. What is he doing? Is he collecting, hair? Is he collecting, fingernails? Is he? What kind of a creep is this guy? Because he's actually stalking these celebrities. And I guarantee you, if we call him out to the terrorist that he is, I guarantee you will get arrested. If we call him out and saying that he's stalking celebrities at the red carpet, I guarantee you tomorrow he'll be arrested.
Well, and I want everybody to take note too. And you have the screenshots and you have the pictures. There's one photograph that he uses all the time of himself, supposedly on the red carpet. He's standing there in a tux, and he's like this, supposedly talking on the microphone, getting his picture taken on the red carpet. Well, if you notice that photo, there's something very, very unique about that photo. Here's what it is. There's a side shot of him supposedly on the red carpet, talking like this, Javier. Well, if you look at that same photo, there's a second shot of him supposedly with somebody in that same suit on supposedly the red carpet. But the background is different. And if you look at the bottom of where his feet stand, that background all of a sudden just kind of drops off in the back of the photo. It's like it's like Christopher Columbus, like
fell off the face of the earth, right? Yeah.
And you're kind of going, wait a minute. I didn't know that they changed the backgrounds, all of a sudden in events like that. And then the Photoshop pictures on the couch, he's just kind of there with these people, and it's the same pose and the same smile, the same look all the time. Now, I don't know, but when I get my picture taken and I'm with friends, and somebody says, okay, we're going to take a picture now, and it's an impromptu kind of a thing, and somebody wraps their arms around me, and then somebody's there with the camera, they're going to smile, but it's not going to be the same pose each and every time. This is too staged for my taste. And it's the same thing over and over and over again. Now, if you're going to have these photos all the time and you supposedly go to all these events all the time, wouldn't you think there would just be a little variety that would be different? But no, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. He's using these staged photos to try to make himself look like somebody. And that is the bottom line. And on that note, to a certain degree, because I do know what it is like to be a targeted individual, I feel there is a part of me that feels very, very sorry for him and his need to have this much attention, because there is obviously major deficit within this man that is not getting met, and some serious problems that need addressed, and that is the bottom line.
But I want to go back just a little bit to being a targeted individual, and I do believe that that is even as bizarre and as abrasive and as much of a meathead as Xavier is. Okay, he's a fucking he's a meathead. Okay, but there's just no other way to put it, okay? But yet that doesn't necessarily detract. Even if I called him a drug addict, or something like that, it doesn't that doesn't take away from the fact that he could be a legitimate targeted individual. And I think that what they're doing is because he has this flair, because he has a desire to be larger than life, that they're targeting him. He can I see this, they're jamming me now.
You were saying he's larger than life, and he has ability. Yeah,
he has this ability to be larger than life, and he wants to. So they're going to target him, and now there's this picture that caught my attention last night, right before I went to bed, of him with Corey Feldman, and now Corey Feldman has definitely been targeted. He's a victim of MK Ultra. I mean, and so if there's any way that he is actually running around in the same parameter of these people that are these that the Hollywood, because Hollywood is like Grand Central Station for MK Ultra. That's where it all happens. That's where they're all freaking mind controlled. That's where everything. And so if he's just getting his feet wet and trying to get in there, he's going to be one of the first guys that they try to victimize, because he actually, there could be a redeeming value to his existence after all, because maybe if we could turn him back to the good side, then he won't be such a menace. I don't want to say he's attacking people, he's threatening people's families or whatever, and I'm concerned about that. I really am. But
well, okay. Let me jump in here, because yes. I really, what you're saying is Candyland, shoot some ladders. For most people, there would be hope.
Absolutely.
But
okay, I'm willing to accept this.
This Javier character he's so deep in his own narcissism. Okay, let me make an example for you. Let's say he has it out for me, Anthony Thomas, Kristen D. Manners, anybody. Let's say he has it out for somebody. Anybody in this situation would. Okay, there's obviously going to be people against him, but he's going to gain allies and people that are with him. He's pissing off everybody he talks to.
He's not even trying. He's not even trying to get allies or help. He's just trying to
his deep-rooted, conceited narcissism his ego is larger than life. It's the largest ego I've ever seen him. Ever. I mean, God forbid this man became someone actually famous, an actual celebrity. God forbid that, because the things that he would do. I mean, you want to talk about these baby eating parties? This guy would be hosting it just to be the center of attention. Okay? I think that in this case, his targeting, if he actually were a real target, not a perp, I think that he'll become a nightmare, not just for side B, but side A as well. Now, as us targeted individuals are trying to uproot the perps, I think that there's a mirror situation for the perpetrators that want to get rid of the meatheads. I think right now we're trying to pawn Xavier off on both sides. It's going back and forth. That's my assessment.
That's interesting that you say it that way, because I think that is exactly the case. I hate to say anything for their side, but I don't even think the perps want him.
No.
Or that might be his dilemma. That actually could very well be where he lies, and that actually, it kind of revolves around the point that I was getting at, is that now he's stepped on some toes, probably on both sides. He certainly stepped on our toes, and then when he goes running to the other side looking for shelter, and they close the door over there, where is he going to go?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We all have choices. That's the bottom line. We all have choices. When you're getting, when people are extending their, I wouldn't say services, but when people are extending their help to you and you are slamming the door in people's face when they're trying to be, helpful to you and they're trying to give you some guidance, and you are just slamming the door in their face over and over and over again, there comes a time when people finally just say enough's enough, we're not doing that anymore. And I think that's what's happened to him, and that's unfortunate, but you can't continue to act like this and expect to get things from people. You just can't.
Or can you understand where I'm coming from, where I want to state that I want to remain the one open door that Xavier can come at any time, and he can tell me his story, and what a bunch of evil scumbags we all are. You know, he can tell me a story. He can,
You'll be our liaison. How about that?
He doesn't have to like me. I don't have to like him. You know, but we're talking about a human being, and even if he's a scumbag, you know, I still want to give him his platform to where, as they're stringing him up off, you know, and they're putting the rope around his neck, and I'll say, hey, with your last dying breath, you know, is there anything that you would like to say for yourself?
I think I already knew that was going to occur with you anyway, Patrick. I think I already before we even got started here. I think I already knew that.
That's why I like you.
So with all that said, I want to go first to Shadow. He's a targeted individual that has had direct contact with Xavier, and I want him to be able to tell us what his experience has been with this individual, and let us know exactly what he has had to put up with, because we all have had to put up with it. Thank you, Shadow, for coming. I know it was last minute notice, and let us know what has happened in your experience, please.
Yeah, Xavier, and really up until now, I really didn't realize the problem was that deep, but now that you're mentioning it, and by the way, it's no problem being here. Yeah, Xavier, my experience with Xavier was actually kind of an accident. I go into a lot of the group chats, even though I don't really say much of anything. I basically, I'm looking for strong people in all the group chats, so I pay attention to them all. And, well, you know, one day he happened to just be coming across one of them, and a friend of mine, you know, she was mentioning it, and I said, okay, let me jump into this group chat. So I seen what this guy was saying, and it really shocked me, because what people don't know, a lot of people don't know about Xavier, is like his history. And before me and Xavier had this beef, he was with my group, which we're known as the Ties unit. And he was with our group before he went on this rampage. So that's what confuses everybody in my group, first of all. But my first real encounter with him was just happening to go into the group chats and just meeting up with him and telling him come into the Ties unit. He came in for like a couple of days. You know, he sat and watched us, you know, express these ideas. And he had really good views. He had really good ideas. He seemed like a really positive person. And he was up for something. And then like less than a week later, he just kind of deleted himself from that group. And we just felt like maybe it's just one of those things he had to do his own thing. And one day, one of my other targeted friends happened to see him in the messenger and said, you know, he's acting crazy. I went in there to see what was going on. And there was a side of him that I'd never seen before. So I came in and I'm like, man, what's going on? You know, and I tried to be cool about it. And I guess he was attacking somebody else, but it sounded like he was attacking me because the way he came at the other person that he must have been messaging before me. And so I basically didn't know I was going to tolerate that. And he let me know in his own words that, you know, it wasn't directed towards me, it was directed towards the other person. And then he got on me. So again, I had to let him know, okay, for real this time, I'm not tolerating any of that. And then he goes on about, you know, he went from like stating his point or stating facts to he got real racist. He started saying stuff like, well, I used to sell jewelry to celebrities. He started posting up all these pictures with, you know, him and other black celebrities and saying that, you know, he really doesn't appreciate black people anymore because he used to sell jewelry to a lot of black celebrities and rappers. And I guess from what he said, long story short for him, I guess, was that when he started hearing that black people wouldn't really appreciate jewelry coming from like Latino people, that's when he decided he was just going to stop selling jewelry to black people. Something happened in between that and him being cheated out of a lot of money.
I gotta say, and that's, I love how people take things racially. It's not against it's not against Latinos. It's just that his jewelry sucks.
I never even paid attention, man. I trusted his word, and my take on it would be your mouth, man. It's your mouth. I'm pretty sure you probably said something stupid and racist to some celebrity or somebody who spread word of mouth through their network, and that's why nobody. But if he really wasn't that good at what he was doing, then, you know, I don't know. Because what I saw on his profile was some pretty decent looking jewelry. But if that's not what he's actually producing and those are just pictures, then now it makes a little more sense, and he's just blaming everybody else for his own failures or whatever happened. The pictures he kept posting up in the messenger, I kept telling him, what is your point? What is your point? Oh, what's the matter? Are you jealous? Are you jealous? No, I'm not jealous. In fact, I hate people that brag. I'm like, dude, I'm working with a guy named CB Mix. He works with Kanye, but I ain't running around bragging about it. You know what I mean? Like, what is your point to all of this? And it was clear to me what he was trying to do. And so when I finally called him out, you got to give people truth, okay? You counteract the lies with the truth. So when I called him out and said, these are old pictures. You already told me that this used to be you, and you're posting them and talking about it like it's brand new. And so he got real, just, you know, nobody asked for your opinion. You're just a jealous piece of trash and this and that. And I showed him my website and all of this. I said, dude, I'm doing things too. You're not the only one. I'm not going to listen to your stuff because you won't support my stuff. I said, dude, I once supported you. You were once a part of the team. I really was trying to get through him instead of at him. You know what I mean? And eventually I stopped after he said, oh, this is what he said that really struck me. He said, I don't need you or anybody else. You don't need to validate me. I got my own bag. You don't need nobody else. When I felt like that, I was in the most emotional, deepest pain of my life. Okay, so that's when I stopped and realized, okay, here's somebody who's going through so much pain that now his pride is completely taken over. So I came at him in another direction and I said, okay, bro, I see what's going on now, bro. People got to keep their pride. Things happen. I understand.
Yeah.
And I still kept, I got it worse. It was just like, you don't have the right to validate me and blah, blah, blah. I said, bro, I get it, dude. Trust me. I mean, you got to keep your faith, bro. Like, I used to be just like that, you know? And I was trying to tell him that child you got inside of you, you got to let it go. And that's when he just deleted me. And last words were, I finally got rid of this effing guy and all of this, man. And I was like, okay. And then my second encounter with him was just, I was explaining to somebody who wanted to see on a website a targeted individual, I guess, like casualty rate. Like if something happens to one of us, there's like a census. And I was explaining to him that because it's such a taboo situation that's barely just getting out there now because we're in an age of globalization and the uprise of the internet, it's very hard to get that kind of census because, first of all, you have to determine who's actually a real targeted individual versus who. There's a lot of different factors. There's people who were targeted individuals at one point and now they're no longer being targeted because they're boring and now they're still running around thinking they're targeted. And then there's people, because the program, what people don't understand is the program is on and off. They'll target you for a month or two, they'll turn it off and experiment and watch you walk around and treat the world a different way. Then they'll get back into the targeting when they know that you think it's safe. So that's how the program specifically really, really works. So you have to determine who's actually a target and knows it and knows all about it versus who's going to trust you as a targeted individual to keep a census on them. We don't even trust our own government in the United States of America to keep a census on us, trying to go off the grid all the time. You know what I mean? So I was explaining that to this guy. Here comes Xavier coming right on in, talking about, oh, yeah, here's Shadow. Here's this guy. I wonder if he's still jealous about my successes or potential success or whatever he was saying. And I'm like, I wonder why you're still trying to convince other people that you should be jealous of you. You know, just trying to, once again, give him logic. And, you know, at some point, you really got to understand with people like Xavier, because I threw so much logic and I didn't do what everybody else did and I didn't attack him with, you know, counter, you know, calling you outside of everything but the child of God. He didn't really know how to handle that. Just when I basically told him all about himself in that first message when I had the counter attack, you know, it was with logic, he didn't know how to handle that because people don't like to be figured out, basically. But you know that old saying, it takes one to know one. You know what I'm saying? And I used to be that. So I had to come at him in a way, and he didn't like being figured out. So it was, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm going to delete this person. I used to be that. So when he tried to do this again, and I came at him a second time with logic, and I didn't give him what he wanted, like he's doing with everybody else, all he really could do was, you know, put up some laugh emojis. What is that going to do to me, dude? I just fed you your own medicine. You know what I mean? So when it comes to somebody like Xavier, those were my two experiences. This guy is, to me, he's nothing. I'm going to be very honest with you. He's attacking other TI because other TI aren't as strong as people like us. They're not going to, you know, he wouldn't attack Shayla like that. You know, I've attacked Shayla, and I did it by accident because she gave me a number that was kind of suspicious, and when I immediately mistook her for a perp because it was my first time in the community, and ever since then, she does not get along with me. I've tried to reason with her. Other people I know tried to reason with her, but when Shayla has her mindset on something, it's there. So when she went off for days and days and days, so I leave her alone, but like even she'll tell you, I mean, she was obviously going to be here today. You know what I mean? Obviously, she's having problems.
I admire Shayla for that.
Right.
Like I said, it's the strong-willed ones. Now, Javier is going through the community as the perp that he is, trying to dominate. He thinks he's going to dominate with the so-called celebrityhood, which is fake. Nobody knows who this man is. You can't Google celebrity jewelers. He's not going to be on the first 100 pages of celebrity jewelers.
So that's what's so weird about it is if he wasn't as good as he thought he was, were all of those celebrity photos, that many celebrity photos he posted, like photoshopped? Is he professional at doing these things? I mean,
well, on that note, Shadow, I do more than dabble in those apps. And if you look at them, they are photoshopped. And one photo in particular, he misses his mark in getting his rear end sat down on a sofa next to some individuals. His rear end is up a little ways compared to the rest of the people in the group. And you're like, if you're going to Photoshop, at least get your backside sat down along with everybody else's. That would be nice. And then there's other things, red carpet shots where he's standing sideways, and then another shot where he's standing the other direction, but the backgrounds all of a sudden are different. And it's like, no, if you're going to do it, at least Photoshop them the right way. The point here is not to sit and try to completely assassinate or bash the man. It's to say you're putting up a profile that is a fake and a fraud, and we have just obtained some information. As a matter of fact, Shayla sent it to me today. She found some charges that were charged against Xavier, and she sent those charges to me. And he is definitely pretending to be somebody that he is not. He is definitely falsifying information, and we have enough, as targeted individuals, we have enough problem with these perpetrators, let alone somebody coming into the community, pretending to be somebody they're not, and then targeting targets with fake profiles and false information, accusing us of very, very serious crimes, when he himself is the one that is doing these cyberbullying attacks against targeted individuals, because he is not getting his way and becoming the person in control of a targeted community, which is what it boils down to in a nutshell. He wants to be in control of the targeted community, and because targeted individuals have not allowed him to do that, he's gone into a complete rage. And all of that said, I got in contact with Karen Stewart today, and she had sent me some very, very disturbing information, and that is why I brought Karen on. And with all that said, Karen, please share with us what has happened in your situation, because it made me extremely sad today what you had to tell me, because there is absolutely no excuse for what has happened in your situation, and a friend of yours, I believe. So go ahead. Thank you, Karen, for being here. Really appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I mean, this record needs to be set straight.
Yeah.
I never heard of him until I spoke with Allison Ireland, and she was the one who actually funded the meeting in Boston, you know, several months ago, where targeted individuals got together for the very first conference. She funded it out of her own pocket. And he, unfortunately, was somebody who attended, and he decided, and I don't know whether he's high or just delusional, but he decided that everybody there was getting hypnotized, and then he wanted to call Allison a perpetrator, and the whole thing was, you know, there to gather information and blah, blah, blah. He just was going off absolutely half-cocked and crazy. And apparently she told me later that he had been contacting her and threatening her life and threatening the lives of her children.
Oh my goodness.
So,
these kind of things.
And he was,
that's the same
his
story.
accusations were totally delusional. So I told him, she was very scared. And I said, first of all, contact the police and tell them about the threats.
Absolutely.
And I contacted him, and I said, what's going on? Because this isn't possibly true. And he went off on another delusional rant. And I said, look, knock it off, quit bullying a woman and her children. And so that's why he's mad at me, is because I stood up for Alice in Ireland and told him to knock it off.
Yeah.
You know, so it is kind of funny, because I was recently sent a list of people, a lot of people who are doing their best to help the targeted community. He had put on a list of perps. And I thought, good grief, this flea who does nothing but cause trouble is trying to attack every single person I know, or almost every single person I know, who's actually doing something for the community. And so I hadn't, you know, known about the list before. And then he contacted me again on Messenger, and he said, do we still have a problem? And do you have a beef with me? And very clearly, he had not the vaguest idea who I was. So he had put me on this list without even knowing who I was. And I had contacted...
Karen, if you can allow me to interject here, this is where you're wrong. I've got to say this, because we all agree here, and other people are saying this. He knows exactly who you are. I mean, you're Karen Stewart. You're the best activist of all the TIs that we have. Just coming from your standpoint, your history, your work experience, everything that you have, and everything that you accomplished, and everything you've done, and you have fought so hard in telling your story. There are other people in the community. I mean, you're top level. There's no one better. Okay, everyone in the community.
Kind of you.
There's this Javier got backlash for talking to you the way that he did, and saying things about you the way that he did. Now his ego, his delusion, won't let him take you off that list, okay? But the only way he could justify taking you off that list, if he gave you another chance to kiss his worthless ass. And you didn't do it, being the strong woman, activist, truther that you are, whistleblower, the best. And you have stood as that shining example, and because of this egomaniac, he he can't take you off the list because his ego is going to destroy him. His delusions is going to destroy him, and we don't have to be on a video call to do this, but it's our duty as TIs and leaders in the community to blow the whistle on this guy before he hurts and destroys anyone else. There are enough TIs out there that fear for themselves, their families, their children. He's already threatened Maddie Johnson's children. And
in Australia.
He's threatened, he's not just threatening TIs, he's threatening their children. I know, Kristen, with you, he said something about having your head blown off.
Yeah, I got a photograph the other day that he said something about my face and made comments about my face, and then proceeded to put a photograph up of somebody with a rifle in their hands, saying basically it's going to be no more in more words than one, if you know what I mean. Over and over and over again, you're going to have that removed by a shotgun, pretty much. You know, we as targeted individuals, we not only have to take these personal attacks on a daily basis from perpetrators, but to have somebody else come into the community who is claiming to be a targeted individual and also personally attack us on a daily basis is just, it is unforgivable, because we are subjected on a daily basis as it is to these attacks. And then to have somebody else come and do this with these horrible, terrible accusations that are being made that we have to battle already from perpetrators is enough. But to then have somebody like this come in and relentlessly pound on us, no matter what we've tried to do, no matter how we've tried to combat it, and just repeatedly, over and over and over, attack us relentlessly, is unacceptable.
And I've got to add something to that. Just because there are these people, I've read what's going on, I've seen what's going on. There are these people like, I don't want to say her name, her last name is Jonas.
Yes.
The people who are just really out there, left field. You're not the voice of the TI community. You're not the voice of anything. For these people, these egotistical people, you know, I am the voice of God. In this particular situation, this Jonas character says,
doing what? For the
this person's never done anything for anybody, has not done anything for the TI community, perpetrating a fraud. I am the voice of the TI community, and I have spoken. And I've read the stuff, and there's so many people laughing about this. It's not even funny. But I want people to understand, you got to look up the difference between slander and insults. You know, I can say that Xavier Madera looks like Homer Simpson, that big old bald spot on his head. And then so, you know, he can sit there and say that, you know, oh, Kristen DeMatter, she's depressed, old, and da-da-da. I'm young and
don't forget Illuminati whore.
I'm young and vibrant. You know, you look like a Down syndrome patient with AIDS, you crackhead. Now, that's insulting. Now, when he says that I'm trafficking people and you're a child molester, these are accusations of crimes. These are serious. That's slander.
Absolutely.
Serious accusations of crime which can be prosecuted.
Yeah. Now, something else I want to add is when you have a targeted individual like Karen Stewart, who has been such an actively involved individual in the TI community, who has such a well-known and respected reputation in the TI community that does her own thing, but is still very well respected in the TI community, but stays low key and does what she needs to do for the TI community. When you have somebody like Karen Stewart that has to pull herself out of her daily life on top of being a targeted individual to come on a show like Targeted in order to speak out about an individual like Xavier Madera, take the time out of her day to do something like this, to say these kinds of things about Xavier Madera, which Karen is not the type of person who's going to go on a TV show and say something negative about somebody if it's not factual, and I want everybody to hear that. She is not somebody that's going to come on a TV show and say negative or put out negative information about an individual if it is not accurate, true, and correct. When somebody like Karen Stewart has to do that, you know that this is serious.
Karen, I've got to ask, I don't know if you know or not, but do you know the transaction that happened between this Javier J.O. With Mitch Mathis? I mean, Mitch Mathis she's just as sweet as you are. I mean, what could have happened there? Do you know anything about that?
I asked Midge, and she said, who is this person? I've never heard of him. I've never met him. I've never spoken with him. I've never texted with him. She has no idea who he is, never heard of him before. And my only thought is that Xavier has been told to put Midge on this list, and I think we can guess who would tell him such a thing.
Amy Raybon. Well, okay. Well, hold on. Well, also, let me go ahead and add to that. Because Mitch Mathis doesn't know who this guy is, he's automatically offended because he thinks he's a celebrity. He's been cleaning out with all the celebrities on the red carpet, right? Okay. I don't care about this Mary. I mean, there's some people that are going to be very offended by what I'm saying. Is my gay friends are laughing right now. I know when they watch this, they're going to be laughing. I'm not anti-gay and all that. But what he's doing is cleaning out Diva. It's not a qualification for being an activist, okay? We are activists. We are whistleblowers. We are informers. We are media. And this is what we're doing. We're fighting against the system. Now, I know he got butthurt because nobody's heard of him. But this is Amy Raybon. Now, she's been slandering me and whatever she wants to believe who is who and what she wants to spread. She has been slandering me, saying that I traffic people and all this other stuff. She's saying that I had her raped and this other stuff. Let me go ahead and clarify this for one thing. She went on to this, Kristen, what's her name? I had her on my show.
Diana Bellarose.
Diana Bellarose. Okay. I had Diana Bellarose on my show. And just to show how good of a sport I am, I've not taken down her episode out of my archive because she seemed genuine and wanted to fight for women's rights.
And you haven't even seen her newest videos.
Diana Bellarose. Oh gosh, I don't know where to begin with this. Okay, let's start with Diana Bellarose. Diana Bellarose is a supposed TI activist who I've had on the show, talk about women's rights and so forth. And she had got to this Amy Sharon, who is a con artist. We're starting a whole separate show just for Amy Sharon because she has conned $1,200 out of my viewers. in our attempts to keep her out of the streets. Now, I hate to say, you know, PSYOP experts here would have been conned by such a con artist, but she took that money, ran, you know, spent it on her boyfriends that she has told us that were raping her, and all this stuff, and it's ridiculous. We had a safe house for her. We had money for her travel, for her to get all her things to point A to point B, and because she was being so targeted by the Department of Police there in Texas, Houston, and you know, we've dug into all of that stuff, and she's a full-blown phony. Diana Belarus got dazzled by her promises of going to Hollywood with her, because Amy Sherman thinks she's Hollywood. She was born in Hollywood, but she's not actually anything to do with Hollywood productions scene or anything like that. And is delusional. She thinks B.J. Thomas is her father when he is not. We have been in contact with her family, her mother, and so forth. Her mother disowns her. Amy Sherman lost her child because she kept pinching her child because her child was getting more attention than her. She would pinch the hell out of her child. And so that's why this child was taken. That's what we've heard from the mother. The mother disowned her and everything, stopped paying for her apartment and everything. So that's why she's been out on the streets conning people. Now, that brings me over to this faction that's forming of perps. We have Amy Raybon, formerly known by her perp name, Teresa Reed, who, you know, she got very angry at me for not supporting or going after the lawsuit for Michael Kanjamila, who is a TI that was homeless, said, okay, we're going to bring you over here to Europe. He got a plane ticket, got over here. We found him a place to stay in our own very building. Now, this man was so narcissistic that we weren't spending all of our time on him. Now, and you want to talk about someone repetitive, someone stuck in the psych loop? Any conversation you have with this man, oh, this happened to me, this happened. We got sick of listening to it. That's all I could talk about. Okay, we can help you, but you got to do this, this, and this. Simple stuff, too, like get a watch so you know what time it is, because he kept harassing us at all hours the other night. Get a notepad so that you can write down what's happening to you. Get your camera straight. Record yourself when you're being tortured, and so forth like that. He could not complete none of those steps, and would come down to my place, threaten me, threaten physical harm at my door. Yeah, you're a perp. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kick your ass. And, at that point, we had to cut we cut off everything. They tried to contact us back. You know, I was going to give you money from the lawsuit. We never cared about your money. Every time you brought up money, first thing we always said, we don't care about your money. We want to help you. And so, Amy Raybon, being the perp that she is, and the star that she is, she was definitely trying to seduce me for the longest time, trying to seduce the woman I was with, trying to just get anywhere she could fit in. Now, she saw I wasn't having it. I was not interested. She clung onto Michael Kanjamila, and with his promises of millions of dollars for his case. Now, I'm not going to lie. Michael Kanjamila, hell of a case. If we were to have pursued it, if we were to follow the steps and go through everything, if he had done all the requirements that we needed to help him, and us put forth effort, he has the most explosive case for a TI in the world. But he ruined that. we couldn't. You threatened my life. You coming down, banging on my door, ringing my doorbell at all hours of the night for hours at a time, like a crazed maniac. No, not gonna happen. So as soon as she figured out, the last conversation I had with her on the phone 2 years ago was, no, I'm not gonna help Michael. And then she went to full perp mode because she's angry that she was going to get her millions of dollars for helping Michael, which he has seduced her into thinking that she was going to get. Full-blown perp mode. Okay? Now, she wants to go around and say that I had her raped, and I can't remember all the accusations, but listen, let's keep it real here. I'm gonna get ghetto here, okay? You think I'm gonna let you around me with the information that you have and not keep a mad dog in check? Okay? I am part of militias, militia commanders, militia intelligence, okay? I'm connected, okay? I don't have to. I'm well loved. I don't have to sick anybody on anybody. Somebody offends me, okay? I get a call from a militia commander saying, yeah, you know that chick? Yeah, okay. She couldn't get enough of me. She was all over me. Okay, well, good for you. I'm thinking at this point, okay, is this guy my enemy now? Is he gonna turn on me? You know, I'm putting him through the questions. No, I got everything. I got pictures of her nasty home. I got pictures of all her drugs. I got pictures of her, and because she's cracked out. I know for a fact that she had been asking other TIs in the community for money to support her grown kids. And I believe, Karen, you're one of these people, right?
She asked Midge, and I knew about it.
Okay.
And yeah, she hinted that she wanted money from me, and I just ignored it.
Well, she's blocked from our YouTube channel. She has stalked Trphc Network's YouTube channel. She had subscribed to every channel connected to our account. We've had to block her from everywhere. Stop her from putting up her lies, disinformation.
Yeah, but, she's a stalker.
You know, she's it's not bad.
Exactly.
She actually, you know, with all this stuff with her trying to con TIs in the TI community with information she's had, all the information she ever talked about or ever said came from 3 sources: Karen, Midge, and myself.
Yeah.
I actually got her on Sean Carone's show. Forgive me, Sean, I forgot the name of your show. I got her on his show, and she just regurgitated everything that we taught her. Now, there's someone looking for glory and again, a star, because I know my militia commander wowed her with all things he's able to do, and she thought she was going to get somewhere with this guy. Now, it is so terrible that the only other place she was able to get is on to, I believe, Diane Bellerosa's show. I think. I heard something like that. I don't know. But I put out the word about her, and every other independent media outlet has shunned her. So she can't get on anywhere else. And you know, I hate to do stuff like that because I believe in the freedom of speech, but not in the freedom of slander, not in the freedom of destroying someone's lives. I can tell you, I'm not very forgiving for anybody who's going to destroy my credibility and destroy my efforts into doing what I need to do. I got to keep families together. I have family case files, TV show. I've got other TV shows that are doing things. Okay? You get in the way of me helping, keeping families together, I don't care about you. Burn notice.
Yeah.
So, Karen, did you want to expand on that?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is ludicrous with Amy because basically I had asked her to not attack and curse people on my page, on my Facebook page. I said, you know, just pretend you're in somebody else's home and they're asking you not to do something. I said, you know, like if you're in your mother's home and she asked you not to smoke or whatever, just have some respect. I said, I'm not telling you what to do on your page. I said, but please don't come on mine and attack people and curse them. And that has been her whole problem with me, period. And her whole problem with Midge is very similar. Midge asked her not to do things that were not correct. She was giving bad information to people because she had, according to Midge, because she had basically ignored Midge. When Midge was teaching her things, she got to a certain point and she went off and was doing stuff on her own. And Midge said, you're really not ready to do this, so you're giving people information that's actually not good. And so she dropped her at that point. You know, she got mad at Midge for trying to correct her so that what she was doing for people actually meant something, and she wouldn't hear it. And she wanted to go ahead with things that were incorrect and not of valid help. So this is extraordinarily egotistic and petty that she now has been for months and months trying to slander and turn people against us when all we do is try to help people. And it would appear all she does is try to get a following for her ego. And that's not of any help.
Well, I mean, for 2 years straight, all she can do is talk about me. You know, I forget about her existence until someone brings it up. You know, it's not like I slept with her.
Can't let it go.
I was hearing. I'm sorry. You know.
Well, on that note, V, I just got done sending you something that you will find very, very interesting on Skype on that note that you need to take a look at really fast because I just got sent this information and you need to take a look at that really fast because it is the newest information that I just got sent from Xavier concerning you, and it's very, very disturbing.
And that's what a perp does. I mean, he's going to say whatever he wants to say, and that's that. But the proof is in the pudding. Nobody knows this Xavier. He is obviously somebody that no one wants on side A or side B. So he's just raging where he can, and that just happens to be on the TI side. And so here we are helping. I have the most successful TI media in the world. Okay, from the red pill hardcore to targeted to you know anything you want to talk about. I put out the most government secrets out there as far as covert technology. What has this little scumbag done? Will someone tell me his credentials besides making crappy jewelry that rappers don't want?
Yeah.
You know, it is really sad because it reminds me of every so often a museum has people walk into it who are thugs and they go up to a masterpiece of art and they destroy it. Well, why do they do that? Well, they destroy it to make a name for themselves because they have no talent to create art like that. So they want to take a shortcut and make a name for themselves by destroying what other people do. And we're looking at the same thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Karen, what do you think is the solution for all this?
You know, people need to have common sense and just block people like this. You know,
I
that's
agree.
what I did.
Speaking
agree.
of which, blocked every single profile. Okay, people, look up Xavier Madera. Look at how many profiles he has of him selfieing, You want to talk about ego? There's about 10 of them.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to talk about psychopath? There's about 10 of them. You want to talk about egotistical maniac? This is the kind of crap that we're dealing with. Now, Javier, Amy Sharon, what's your name? Amy Raybon, they can join together in their own little merry pack.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to scratch anything that we're doing. You know, I've had to decline so many offers for other media stuff that it's not even funny. Don't have time. There's so much more being done behind the scenes that, I mean, there's just no time in the world. Our best efforts are actually behind the scenes. We're trying to get counter technology out there. We're trying to establish places to go for TIs. We're trying to establish laws being changed. We're doing lots of things behind the scenes, and there's just not enough time. I can be Alex Jones and do all of that, okay? But there's too much to be done behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, whether somebody means to or not, when all they're doing is destructive, when all they're doing is steering people away from the people who are actually trying to help them, and they're getting them caught up in a gossip and slander and, oh, poor me, and I hate you type of matrix, they're not doing these other people any good. I mean, this may be unkind, but in a way, people like that are kind of a stupid filter. You know, if you believe people like that, then, you know, then I can't help you. You know, if you go and you investigate and you try to weigh what's really going on, then good for you. And that's good, because I hate to cut somebody else off on someone else's word, but the intelligent people will do some kind of research and they'll figure out this person is nobody, but he or she is trashing everybody in the community who's actually doing something good. This can't serve me to follow this person.
And that's what I'm encouraging everybody to do too, is, you know, you need to find out about this individual by watching what he's doing, looking at his examples, following the post yourself. You don't have to take everybody's word for what he's doing. His proof is in what he is saying and doing. And you know, do your homework. But on the other end, if you're not getting involved in the targeted individual community, then how are you supposed to know exactly what's going on that note as well? You know, we need to have more people getting involved, so that when these kinds of things happen, we can all come together collectively in order to remove people like him, because it is such a huge problem now. It has gotten to be such a gigantic monster that to try to get him removed has been such a horrible problem. He has just gotten larger than life. And because there are so many people out there that have been given conflicting information, it's been a horrible problem to try to get him really removed. And, you know, I feel sorry for those people whose lives have really been affected, because Karen, the one thing that you do know is that not everybody is as fortunate as maybe you are, or maybe myself, or be in being a very, very strong targeted individual mentally. Some people fall victim to these things more than others because they're already weak because of the targeting to begin with. And then when they run into somebody like Xavier, it's even more difficult for them because they're easy target, so to speak. And you know what I mean when I say that. He comes, he picks people that he knows are already struggling to begin with. He does.
And he scares them.
Yes.
But then I have to tell people, what is this person doing for you other than hate mongering?
Yes.
What's he doing other than fear mongering? Is he doing something positive? No, he's not. Does
No.
he have a history of doing something positive? No, he doesn't.
No.
Yeah,
So
well, I
look
can
at
tell you what. How should we, as a people, as a community, I mean, because there are, my concern here is there are those who are of lesser intelligence. There are those who are of being highly influential, those who are not capable of critical thought. Now, the standpoint here is, from Anthony's perspective, is, you know, cut the fat. You know, let people believe what they want to believe, but it's a situation of innocent souls, you know, and people who should not be subject to what they're subjected to, as far as the torment and all this stuff is concerned. But it's more of, I mean, if there are going to be people that are going to go down this crap, then, I mean, what's it to us? That's what I guess I'm trying to get at here. I mean,
well, that's why I said
what we do.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
at a certain point, there are people you can't help.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
I don't feel bad by saying that. I feel less bad hearing that from Karen. There are people that you cannot help.
Yeah.
And yes, and Anthony will tell you, there are people in his past lives who are pure human crap, who are feeding information, who got turned. Again, there was an individual who was supposed to be boring his child, got an abortion, got paid off by the government with a brand new vehicle, and you know, attempted to steal his apartment by doing false allegations of domestic violence over and over again, as California laws are so screwed up. You know, Anthony has been assaulted in front of the police by this female, and then he being put in handcuffs right afterwards because he put his arms up.
They target us.
I'm sorry?
And they target us.
Yeah.
And so well, that's the whole point, just being targeted with the crap. And this a certain individual is feeding Madera and Raybon a lot of the crap that you might see online about Anthony. It's just feeding.
Well, he's a puppet. He's a puppet because he's not very bright.
The egotistical maniac is a puppet. That's what's ironic about all of it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know. Go ahead, Kristen.
you know, getting something done about people like Xavier that come into this community and try to do this is the main purpose of what we've done here today. And we will continue to watch over this situation and monitor it because, because we have to. Because if we don't, then we are saying that we are accepting individuals like this and accepting what they're trying to do to this community, and that we will not do, no matter what. And I personally, again, want to thank all of our guests for being here today. And I really want to thank Karen Stewart for being here today, because I know that she had to take the time out of her day. I know she had something else planned. So thank you again very much, Karen, for joining us today. Please keep in touch and let us know what's going on. And if anything else new develops in this situation,
with Xavier. I know that you and V have a long-standing relationship. Thank you again, Karen, for joining us. And
My pleasure.
this has been another special edition of Targeted. Good night, everybody, and thank you again for joining us.
Anthony Thomas, if he ever gets in my face, he'll get stabbed.